Hello and welcome back to the Raise the Voice series, your take to that very, very special episode with Hector Palmer to talk about a brand new topic, which is big decisions and opportunities. Now, a lot of young people have to make a lot of big decisions at a very young age nowadays, so we're going to talk about how young people deal with that per se, and we're going to talk about that with Hector. So Hector, would you like to tell me a bit about yourself, what you do, etc.?
Yeah, so I'm Hector. Obviously recently finished school and I've had a big decision to make this summer about whether to defer or not, and yeah, I thought we'd talk about that a bit today, as me and Elado are both in a kind of similar situation with that, so yeah.
Yes. So me and Hector have both taken gap years, a very big decision in our lives, probably the biggest ever had to make. I'm sure he probably agrees as well. And that's sort of the first question, the big decision you had to make, and yeah, just talk about how you tackled it per se, because obviously it was sort of a new experience. How do you deal with that? Because obviously it's a very big decision to make, you know, and normally you have other people making your decisions at a young age, but this was one where it just came down to you and you yourself. So talk to me a bit about that.
Yeah, so this decision was kind of different to any other decision that I've ever had to make before, and that most people would normally have to make, because when you're like picking a uni or you've got two offers, it's a bit different to this, because ultimately, you know, you're kind of going to end up at the same place after a certain amount of years, whereas a year out, you're just kind of like, there's so much that you could do, there's so much that you could regret, because you could be like, oh look, I've missed out on university, but there's so much opportunity as well, and that's kind of what the hardest part of weighing it up was for me. Like, there was this fear of missing out on university, like seeing all your friends go, seeing all the people around you go and having a good time, and then on the other hand you got all these things that I could have been doing on this year out. In the end it was almost like a gut feeling kind of thing, like just felt kind of right. And I know that's not very good advice, but you know, sometimes you don't, because sometimes you don't have that gut feeling, and a lot of times this was just a 50-50 completely. And when there's decisions like that, it can make you anxious, and I'm sure people who have made this decision have felt that, the kind of stress and anxiety, not just about the decision being in your own hands, but also about how other people are going to take it. Sometimes you get questions like, why did you take a gap year? Why have you decided to defer? And it's a pretty horrible question to answer.
Yeah, definitely.
Because sometimes you just have your own reasons, you have your own motivations that other people sometimes don't see, and yeah, it's kind of hard to see past those outside pressures in certain situations. So.
Definitely, that question was kind of annoying. I was just like, because I think with me as well, it was like a million different like things taken into account. I think I suffered like a lot of anxiety throughout like probably like the whole of June, just making that decision, and it was always like, if I do that, I can do that. If I don't do that, I do that. And so, what if I don't like this? What if I don't like that? What if I regret this decision? What if this happens? Then it's a whole 365 days behind, or 365 days gone, and it's like, shit, I've got to actually like, you know, think about this. And I like to do the like head versus heart thing, and I think in this situation it didn't really work, because it was always like 50 to completely split down the middle. Making big decisions is like part of growing up in it, and it's something you don't experience. You know, something when you create it for the first time, you're like, who do I go to make the decision for me? That, especially for me, it was always like giving it to other people to make the decision for me, because I was too scared to make it myself. So I would do things, or I would say things. I'd be like, but how about this? How about this? And then, you know, when in reality, it should be me making the decision, not someone else. Or, everyone always went to me and said, bro, it's yours, not it's always your decision.
Yeah,
and I think, it really just messed with my head a lot in terms of just that whole thing. But yeah, I mean, in terms of other big decisions as well, do you feel like, I mean, I just talked about how to part growing up. How do you sort of combat it or deal with it? Or, I mean, for us it was like a first time thing, but in terms of just in general going on, I talked about the head versus heart thing. Do you have sort of like a method or something that you try and use to make decisions that aren't as big, or just in general?
It's actually something that I struggled with quite a lot, with this decision, because of some of the anxiety it caused me. You kind of get trapped in a mindset that, whereas in reality both decisions can be the right decision, you see both options as the wrong one. You only see the negatives in both the decisions, and that's a really easy thing to do. And it got to a point where every small decision that you make is exactly the same as that. So like you get trapped and you think like you only see the negatives in every decision that you make. And yeah, it's really easy for me. It was really easy for me to do that. I think one thing that I kind of learned to take out of decision making was what other people would think. I mean, we all like to think that what other people think about us has no effect on us and how other people will react has no effect. But when you can see that ultimately this is your decision, it's your life, it's your choices, although that's a big thing and a daunting thing to like accept, it's also quite liberating in a way, because you realise all these pressures from other people and what they might think of you or what they would have done in the situation doesn't really matter, because it's ultimately up to you. So just getting rid of that from your thinking.
Yeah, because I definitely think in terms of other people, I think I like to take criticisms. It's the same thing with criticism. Like I do like to have other people's opinions, but in sort of a measured way. So it'll be like people I really trust, like people close to me, like my family, etc. I'll take their opinion into account in a measured way, but I won't make it final. So I'll have these different opinions, but I'll know how to sort of use them and not to just take them at face value, or to take them in a way where I'm not using my own, conscience to sort of deal with that opinion myself. You can't live up to everyone's expectations. You can't do what everyone expects.
Yeah, definitely.
Same thing where like everyone can like you, stuff like that. Like you have to just pick and choose, and that's just the way of life, I guess. But yeah, it's been good.
No,
Yeah,
I think it's important. Yeah, like you say, you kind of filter the opinions that you get, because when you ultimately think about it, the decision that you make, the people who are closest to you and the people whose opinions you trust the most, they're going to back you and they're going to support you, whatever decision that is, no matter how that affects them. So those are the people you want around you when you're making that decision, because ultimately other opinions, while they can be useful, you shouldn't get tied to them emotionally like that. And I think that's an easy trap to fall into. But
one final thing, just to get like a sort of advice thing, I'd say definitely balance out the pros and cons. Shout out to Presence, because she helped me with this as well in terms of the gap year thing. Just making it like as structured as possible, so that you don't miss out anything, you don't leave out any gaps.
Yeah.
Even though you can make that gut feeling, it's always best to compare the gut feeling to the head of the heart. It's very
definitely.
Yeah, just make sure you don't rush into things, or you don't. Because one more thing as well, because for me I was like, I was changing my decisions every single day. One thing it was one, the next was the other. One thing it was going to this, the next one was the other, and it was like a very topsy-turvy. When you have a decision like that, it's always best to just make a logical approach, even if it's not your most preferred method of doing that
definitely.
Sort of thing. But
just having all the stuff down in front of you, like even if you're just writing it down, or if you want to mind map it or whatever, and no matter how silly it sounds, it will help you just have some clarity, because the thoughts in your head are going to be completely different when you've written them out on a page, and you'll see them from a different perspective, I would say.
Well, this has been good. Thank you, Hector, for coming on. Opportunities.
That's okay, it's my pleasure.
Big decisions, and I hope some people, have gained a lot from that. Maybe you're, in year 11 or year 12, year 13, the sixth form decisions or something like that, or just to where we are right now, just making a big decision about something future in our life. But it's been good. If you want to make your own take, don't be shy. Go to us in the DMs. We don't bite. Just say I want to do one. It's very easy, isn't it, Hector? Very easy.
Yeah, very easy. Thanks for having me on that.
No worries. And thank you for watching.